There are very few applications that have made an impact on business greater than Microsoft Excel. Because of this importance to business, we want to make sure that you're able to get data from and put data into Excel workbooks. Automation 360 has several packages that work with Excel documents, but we're going to focus on two for this video: Excel Basic and Excel Advanced. Why do we have two packages, and what are the differences? The two packages work differently with Excel files and use a different mechanism to access the data. Excel Basic does not need Excel installed on the computer running the automation. Excel Advanced does. This means that you don't necessarily need Excel installed to start automating XLSX files. Excel Basic also works directly with the files, instead of communicating with Excel as an intermediary, making it significantly faster, especially for large datasets compared to Excel Advanced. This sounds like Excel Basic is great. So what's the catch? Well, Excel Basic only works with XLSX files. It can't work with any of the other variants. Excel Basic also has many fewer actions than Excel Advanced does. To intelligently choose which package to use for your automation, you must understand these differences between the packages. For this video, we will use the Excel Advanced package. Once you understand how Excel Advanced works, using the Excel Basic package is easy. In this exercise, we will simply create a new workbook, add some data to the workbook, and finally get some data back from the workbook. Although this is a very simple use case, the basics of what we'll talk about will be used on much larger automation projects. Let's get started. To keep things simple, we will manually create an Excel file. Let's go back to our desktop and right-click on your desktop, select New, and then choose Microsoft Excel Worksheet. Rename this file to myexample.xlsx. Next, let's return to the control room and go back to our automation section. Click on the Create a Task Bot button and name your bot Excellent Excel Exploration Excursion. And then click Create and Edit. Everything that we're going to do is in the Excel Advanced package. First off, we need to open your example Excel file. So let's go to the Excel Advanced package and go down to the Open action and add that to our automation. On the right side, we have some decisions to make regarding the location of our file. Since we created this on our desktop, leave the first control as File and the second control to Desktop File. Now, Desktop File has nothing to do with the desktop of your computer. It just means that these files are stored on your desktop or laptop computer. Next, let's click the Browse button and navigate to your desktop. Choose your myexample.xlsx files that we just created and click on Open. Now, since this file is empty, I'm not going to tick the box for sheet contains a header. I also don't need a specific sheet name, so I'll leave that specific sheet name empty. We will open this file in read-write mode, so we can leave that as is, since we're going to be putting information into this file and reading information back from it. Then finally at the bottom, we have our session. For what we're creating here, we're going to leave this as a local session, and we're going to leave the name as default. Next, we'll add some data to the new Excel workbook. While new Excel workbooks have the cell A1 highlighted, we can make certain that we start there by adding a Go to Cell action after the Open action. So let's do that. Let's drag a Go to Cell action right after the Open. And then on the right side, we want to make sure that we have specific cell selected and enter A1 as the cell we want to go to. This will move the cursor to cell A1 if it wasn't already there. Notice the session name is already default. If we changed it during the Open action, we'd also have to change it here. Next, add a Set Cell action. We can choose between an active cell and a specific cell. Since we moved the cursor to cell A1 already, we can use active cell because that means that we're referring to the cell where the cursor is located. We could have used specific cell, which moves the cursor and sets the value at the same time. On the right side for the cell value, enter the word automation. Next, add another Go to Cell action. This time on the right, select Active Cell. And from the drop-down, choose one cell to the right. This method of movement is relative to the position of the cursor. It has the advantage of simplicity since you don't need to keep track of the cursor position. You just move it relative to the location of that cursor. Add another Set Cell action. Base it off that active cell. And change the value of the cell to anywhere. Next, let's add a Set Cell Formula action. This allows us to put an Excel formula into the cell. On the right side, choose specific cell and enter D1. For the formula, enter in equals A1 ampersand B1. Let's add a Get Single Cell action to our automation. Choose specific cell and enter D1. We are going to read the visible text in the cell, which is important for values like currency and dates. Using the read cell value only returns the unformatted number. At the bottom, for the Store Cell Contents to, choose Sample String from the drop-down list. To be able to see the value we took from the Excel document, add a message box action. In the Enter Message to Display, click on the box on the right with the X in parenthesis. From the pop-up window, select Sample String from the drop-down list, then click on Yes, Insert. When we run our bot, you will see several things happening. First, our Excel document will have automation in cell A1, anywhere in cell B1, and then automation anywhere in cell D1. We'll also see a pop-up message displaying automation anywhere, showing us what it read from the Excel document. These are the simple actions of how to get information into Excel and get information out from Excel, but these methods are only for singular cells. Most Excel documents have many rows and columns of data. To work with those, you'll need to be using a loop action to go through each row. For now, though, we'll leave the loop action for another video. What did we learn here? Well, we learned that Excel Basic and Excel Advanced are very different ways to get data into and out from Excel files. Excel Basic doesn't require that Excel is installed, but is limited to XLSX files only. Excel Advanced requires Excel to be installed wherever your automation is run, but Excel Advanced works with all variations of Excel documents. It also gives you more actions than Excel Basic does. Where we put data or get data in Excel can either be an absolute cell address, such as D1, which we call a specific cell, or we can base this relative to where the cursor is, which is what we call active cell. Specific cell is a little more difficult because it requires that you keep track of your cell's position, where the active cell is based off that cursor position, but requires more actions to position the cursor where we want it. Now, which one of those is best for you? Well, it depends on your use case. So master both methods and then make an informed decision. We also had a special guest appearance from the message box action. Message box can be used to display the value of a variable on screen, as we did here. It can also display status messages or even be used as an automation debugging tool by displaying messages at certain points in your bot. Thanks for watching, and go be great.